Hey everyone, welcome to my channel Soul Vibes. It is celinelizette here with my fourth video, and I'm actually deciding to do it on my nose job experience. This was a big decision for me. I had thought about doing it from the start, but what really got me to finalize and confirm that I wanted to do it was when I was watching another YouTube video, and that person really inspired me, and she actually kept me from going into this negative downward spiral that happened like my second week of my nose job, and I'll talk about that throughout the video. But yeah, so she really helped me, and I figured I might as well just post what I documented up until this point and see, why not talk about my experience and see if I can help others along their journey if they need the help. So that's why I'm doing this video. I am actually going into week 7, or this is my first day of my 7th week. I got my nose job done June 25th. And so, yeah, these are my results up until this point. This is from the front, clearly, side, and this side. So, yeah, it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster. I was not expecting for the amount of emotions that I was going to feel. I thought, and this was maybe me being naive and not doing enough research before getting the nose job done. I was just really excited to get it done because I knew since like 6th grade that I've always wanted to get it done. So I just jumped into the decision. But I did know that the surgeon was really good. My mom actually got her rhinoplasty done from him. And so, yeah, he has great reviews. Real self. Definitely do your research on the surgeon that you choose. But however, I didn't do enough research on nose job procedures themselves, I would say. And I just didn't know, like, basically what would happen afterwards, which was that I was feeling like I didn't like how it looked. I thought the minute that I was going to get my cast off, I would be like, oh my God, it's beautiful. But really, that's not what happened to me. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other people can get that experience, but I didn't know how normal it was to not like your nose right after the surgery, and even for weeks and months on until after that. So that's basically what happened to me, and I'll be talking about it throughout this video. Pretty much just the things that I did to help myself out emotionally, and still till this day, being at week 7, I still get like my emotional downs, and I sometimes don't like my results, but for the most part, I'm starting to like it more and more. Clearly, I have enough confidence to do this video. I actually wanted to upload something way earlier, but I couldn't do it because I really wasn't liking how I looked. So nonetheless, here I am, and I'm excited for my progress. And so the other thing is that I'll be giving tips, things that I did as far as the physical part, the swelling. My swelling lasted for a really long time. I'm actually still swollen. I don't know if you can see it. I can tell when I put on my eyeliner, but this eye is actually a little bit more swollen than this eye. And the nose itself stays swollen it can stay swollen depending on the person and their genes and all that. For a really long time. So I guess it's going to swell down by 3 to 4 months, even more. And then until 6 months, it gets like way more refined. And then after that, it's like smaller and smaller changes until a year. That's when you'll see your final results. So, the main thing is having patience and not judging until you get closer, to that 6-month mark. Then I would say, you can start really seeing like basically, if you're gonna like the shape and things like that. And if you are getting a nose job, you should be getting instructions. I probably won't go too much into detail on what those instructions say because, most of the people get the same instructions from their surgeons, but like at least the basic outline. And if you're not getting that, then that is a red flag. You should get something from your surgeon. And if you don't, I would suggest getting another surgeon just because it's your nose, it's the center of your face. And I've botched way too many times since getting this surgery done. And let me tell you, there's so many things that can go wrong. So make sure you choose your surgeon wisely. And yeah, so here is my video. Let's start with day 1.
Had my surgery this morning. I am a little shaky right now. I took my hydrocodone I think like an hour ago. I've been icing on and off 20 minutes throughout the whole day. I have my Google Home set up, so when 20 minutes is up, she tells me, and then just resting. I am meditating. They said just keep it light today with food, like liquids. And before that, I was eating pineapple. Like before I had my surgery, they say start pineapple 2 days before, like 1 cup, just because it helps with bruising and swelling. To be honest, I thought it was gonna be a lot worse, like the bruising and swelling, but it's I've seen other pictures. It'll probably get worse within the next 2 to 3 days, but I'm hoping with icing, maybe it won't be that bad. I don't know, cross fingers. But as far as how I'm feeling, it's not too bad. The nose part is just like they said, it's kind of uncomfortable. It feels kind of like if you had water up your nose, or like not like when you go in a pool and you get water up your nose and it really hurts, but like the after part where it's like there's some water in your nose and it feels like almost like you have to sneeze or allergies. So it's not the worst, but yeah, just kind of uncomfortable. So this is day one. I just wanted to document how I'm looking. Thank you. I know I look beautiful right now. But yeah, I'm gonna keep icing and meditating. So much love.
Okay, so that was my day one video, and clearly I was going to be in for a rude awakening. The pain pills, honestly, were my ride or die the first few days, just because I couldn't sleep without the pain pills. And not that I'm like, or I wasn't in extreme pain or anything like that, but it's just very uncomfortable. It almost feels like if you're sick, like the congestion part, and you can't breathe, so you have to breathe through your mouth, which is really, really annoying. But one thing I will say is that I was fortunate enough to not get dry mouth, which I know a lot of other people can get. And also, my mom told me that she had like a major sore throat when it was her first few days. So I was thankful that I didn't get that. One thing that I did do was get a humidifier, and I used it the minute that I got home. My surgeon told me that, and also my mom told me that. So, lavender and peppermint oil was the essential oil that I switched back and forth between. But the thing is, with the humidifier, I used it less and less after like the first week, just because I have sensitive teeth, and I felt like because you're breathing in through your mouth, the air, or like, it was misty and it kept hitting my teeth, and I felt like my teeth were kind of getting cold. Like, and that made it really uncomfortable to sleep, like even more so because you're also sleeping elevated, which you have to do for a while. When you get a nose job. So it was just very uncomfortable, and those pain pills helped me. That was the first tip: humidifier, obviously sleep elevated. So that is something that I do want to talk about because it made my experience kind of hell at the post-op. Because I didn't sleep elevated, I don't think I slept as elevated as I should have. Like, you really have to be propped up against the pillow, at least so your head is like straight up and you're not laying back. But I don't think I did it elevated enough. And what happened was, at my post-op, I was really stuffed up, but to the point where it was up here, like not here. So what they had to do was they had to take this like stick, and he said to vacuum out whatever was in there. And it was so high up. So I don't know if you guys have done the COVID test with like your nose, the nose swab, but that is nothing. I had to do that before getting my surgery because they have to test if you have the virus or not. And clearly I didn't have the virus, but I had to do the nose one, and it's, somewhat uncomfortable. You just stick it up there, but it's high up and it makes your eyes water. This was like that, but 10 times worse because it's sucking out, it feels like your brains. And I was already like anxious from taking out the stitches, which makes you kind of like nervous already. So I immediately started crying. I was like, this hurts. It's just like, it's like they're operating, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you feel like aliens are operating on you, and it's high up and it's suctioning out. Like, it was just terrible. It actually really hurt. So yeah, so you guys can avoid doing that if you sleep elevated, I'm pretty sure. But maybe you should ask your surgeon, like, you don't want that to happen. So what are ways you can prevent that? But yeah, so that's what happened to me. The other tip that I want to give is about the bruising. I actually eliminated my bruising before the 2 weeks. So what I did was, you are instructed to, one, take arnica pills, and then you put on arnica gel after your surgery. So I, follow the instructions, did the arnica pills, and then in addition to the arnica gel, I put essential oil with it, specifically sandalwood, which is supposed to have healing properties and anti-inflammatory properties. So I did that, and I applied it here, like dabbed it in, and above the eye. I did that for, I think I think I did that like every time I would rinse. So I did it a lot of times. Unless the instructions for the arnica gel, it tells you how much to put it, then I did it that amount. But either way, did it a lot. The other thing is pineapple. My surgeon instructed me to take pineapple starting a week before, like about a cup a day. And on the instructions, it said after surgery, keep doing it for a week. And I actually added in a smoothie on top of the pineapple. So I would switch back and forth between taking a just all real natural pineapple juice or I would do the smoothie, which was pineapple, mango, and greens like kale and spinach, I think. And it wasn't bad. I actually liked it. And so I did that for about a week afterwards. I don't really know how much that helped, but they say that pineapple does help reduce swelling and stuff. Okay, so the other off the chart tip is the red eye that I from the picture. If you can see day 3, that red eye was so annoying because it stayed until my eye swelling went down. So my eye swelling went down around like week 3. That's when like the redness of the eye completely went away. So it was just, I don't know why that happened. I researched it afterwards and they said that it's like part of the bruising, but it happens in your eyes. So what I did, I was putting eye drops in, and I think, okay, so when I went to the post-op, I told her, like, obviously my eye's red. She saw it, and I'm talking about my nurse, and she was like, oh, yeah, make sure to put warm compress on it. And that was already a week after the surgery. So I think you should ask your nurse, in case that happens, or if you got your surgery and that did happen, ask when to start doing that hot compress, because if you're getting the surgery, you'll have to ice as soon as you get out of the operating room. When you get home, you have to start icing as like 20 minutes on and off throughout the day. That gets really annoying already. So imagine having to do, the ice for 20 minutes, then you're off, then do the hot compress, because the hot compress will only go on your eye. And she said like that would help break up the redness. So yeah, you should ask, if you should start doing that right away, because you also don't want like to increase the swelling, which is the point of the cold ice, to make swelling go down. So yeah, it's kind of annoying if you do get the red eye, but that's what I did. After a week, I started putting warm compress. I didn't do it that often. I just feel like it went away with natural time and being patient, and the same time that the rest of the swelling went away. So that's the red eye part. Another tip that I did not do, so these are just like some of my tips for what, something that I would have done different. So I didn't wash my face for about 3 days after the surgery. I know it's really gross, but I was just not feeling it. You're out of it. You don't want to do anything, honestly. So what happened when I didn't do what I was supposed to do, which is wash my face? I have very sensitive skin. I'm used to washing my face day and night and putting benzoyl peroxide, and I put a whole bunch of like oils and stuff. So I didn't wash it for 3 days straight, and I broke out like crazy. Like I broke out mostly around my chin. And although, like it's not really a big deal about a breakout, especially because of our time right now with the whole COVID situation, I knew I wasn't going to be going out anytime soon or like taking pictures and stuff. But nonetheless, I still, like, the breakout was bad, and it still really affected me, especially when I took off the cast and I was already feeling like shitty about the nose and everything. Like, it just adds to how bad you're feeling. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, like I know I sound dramatic right now, but if you can, definitely wash your face as soon as you can, and just avoid feeling, anything else to make you feel worse. That's what I would do. In addition to that, the shower. So I showered actually like the 3rd day as well. So I washed my face and showered that same day. I know, gross, but you'll see if you get it done, you're going to be feeling pretty out of it. And so the shower was absolutely amazing. I remember feeling like a fresh new person when I got out. And what you have to do in order to not get the cast wet is they say like you can just have someone rinse your hair, or like, like if you're going to the salon or something, like have someone rinse your hair, blah, blah, blah. But what I did was actually create a face mask out of a Ziploc bag, and we taped it to my forehead. And it made it really easy. This is the picture. And it was really convenient. And I'm telling you, like, you're not supposed to take that long of a shower, and I didn't. And it's not supposed to be too hot. But within that time, I think it took me about maybe like 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. Then when I got out, like my nose felt a lot better. I could breathe, and then I just felt really good overall, because it's gross not to take a shower. So yeah, I would recommend getting a Ziploc bag unless you have someone who will wash your hair. I didn't really want anyone to wash my hair. I wanted to wash my own hair. So yeah, I just wanted to take a regular shower, honestly. Now let's talk about the emotional part, which is really the hardest part post nose job, because it can go many different ways. You know, you may be fortunate enough to like your nose immediately after or soon after. And, you know, that's what I was expecting to happen to me, but I didn't know how normal it was, like I said, to not like how you looked. So what happened was, starting with the post-op appointment that I went to after 1 week of the surgery, and I was just not happy when they took off the cast. You know, I looked in the mirror and I was just like, oh my God, what the hell am I looking at? Like, everything kind of just went black in my mind, because that's soon after they took off the cast, they started doing the thing that I was talking about, the suctioning. And before that, they took off the stitches. So it went from like, oh my God, I don't think I like it. I texted my mom. I was freaking out. I texted my other friends and I was like, oh my God, I don't like it. And so just freaking out. And then the painful things started happening. So it makes sense why I started crying after, not just from the physical pain. I just had major anxiety. And when I like everything that they were telling me after all of that, like they were telling me, you know, when I had to, when my next appointment was, you know, when I had to come back. And I just like, you know, you don't really hear things because there's so many things going on. And I was like, I felt like a frantic little puppy or something. But I remember when I walked up to the car, because my mom had dropped me off, like I started crying. And from there, it kind of just shifts your, you know, your feelings in general. Like, the next day and, you know, the few days after that, I was kind of just like, okay, you know, like it's swollen, but then people are telling you things. Like my dad was like, oh my God, it looks beautiful. Like it fits your face and all this. And I'm like, wait, like you're telling me you think this is beautiful when I don't. Like, I started thinking in my head that this was the final results. And, you know, even when I actually got the cast taken off, the nurse was like, oh my God, like, how do you like it? It's beautiful. Like the way, like the shape is so beautiful. And then like, it makes you feel like you're supposed to like it. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm supposed to like it and I don't. Like, that also is what made me freak out in that moment. But then soon after, another nurse told me like, oh, like, don't worry, it's going to go down a lot, like 50%. And then when the surgeon came in, I was like, oh, like, you know, he was like, oh, like, it looks good. And then he didn't say anything about it really going down. And then that's when I was like, oh, like the nurse just said, you know, it's going to go down, right? And he was like, he kind of hesitated and was like, oh yeah, like it's gonna go down. Like in my mind, I don't know, maybe there was too many things going on in that moment that I was just perceiving everything as like, oh my God, like a really bad dream or like a horror movie. Like it just feels like that. So then later he did say that it was going to go down as well, like almost 50%. So I'm just like, okay, like hopefully they're not lying to me just because that's what I want to hear. But yeah, so from the start, it feels like you're supposed to love how it looks. And I just felt so terrible for not liking how it looks. And yeah, that's why I started freaking out. But the first day of my second week, that really, like, that's when I had my emotional breakdown. I hadn't cried yet until, I mean, from emotional matters only, like there was no pain involved. It was just because of how I was feeling that Thursday of, you know, the starting day of my second week. And what had happened was I had seen my family and I had gone to my grandma's house. I saw my aunt, and like my grandma really wanted to see me. People from my family really wanted to see me because they want to see, you know, if they know about your procedure, like they're obviously really eager to see what it looks like. So when I had seen my grandma and my aunt, I remember like my grandma was just like shocked. They were both shocked, and they didn't like immediately say like, oh my God, it looks great or anything. They were just like, and then like my grandma was like, oh my God, like you look like a different person. And just by her face, like my grandma, I know how she is. And she thinks something's beautiful, she'll say it. And so she was just kind of like taken back. She was like, you look like a new person. And then my aunt was like, oh, but it's beautiful though. So at that point, I remember just feeling like, oh my God, they're lying to me. And I was just kind of like, you know, held down my emotion. I was like, oh yeah, it's still swollen, you know, and like you're explaining how it's still swollen to people, but they don't really understand. Like other people after that would be like, oh, it doesn't even look swollen. You can't even tell. And like, they're trying to make you feel better, but honestly, it just kind of makes you feel worse because you're like, you don't understand. This isn't the permanent result. It's still like really early, but you know, like they don't understand because they're not the ones who got the procedure done. So then I went home after seeing them, and that's when I was like, I just want to be by myself. And I was like, oh God, I even think about it now, it makes me emotional. I don't know why, but like I just wanted to start crying. I did start crying, and like this is the picture from my second week that day. And yeah, I just remember like that's when I was about to go in this like dark depression of, because you know it's your face, it's your look, and you start thinking like, what did I just do? Like you really regret the decision that you made. And on top of it, like I had posted a picture the day of my procedure. Like I let people know on Instagram, and I kind of had like this fuck it mentality, like, you know, like I totally support women. So I'm like, you know, if they want to change something and to enhance their feature or whatever, like, you know, I support it. So I kind of wanted to have like the fuck it mentality and be like, yo, like this is what I did. And so then instantly in that moment, I regretted letting people know about it that first day that I got out of surgery, because I was like, oh my God, like people are gonna like talk shit, and people are like, you know, I just, all these things that kind of how I used to feel like during my depression, like last year, came back, like when I had really low confidence. That's what I felt like was happening in that moment. So what I did was research, like, is it normal not to like your face after your rhinoplasty? And a lot of things came up, different articles that helped me feel better. But the thing that helped me feel better the most was the YouTube video that I watched, which I have linked down below. And she really word for word described how I was feeling. Like I was crying watching her video. It was just so like touching to me, because she said the same thing. Like she felt like hers looked like piggy style, and like her nose is beautiful now. Like that gives me so much hope, because her nose really did look pretty swollen in the beginning. And she said the same thing. She couldn't recognize herself like for a while. I think she said until at least 4 weeks you kind of start recognizing your face, which is that's where I started recognizing myself too, like between 3 to 4 weeks. And then that I read said that as well. It said like it's normal not to like your face. Some people think that they're going to get that experience of like, oh my God, I love it as soon as it comes off, but that's actually really like rare almost. So so yeah, the article did say 3 to 4 months, like that's when you can start seeing the shape more, and it slowly starts refining. And then 6 months is where you can, like, I would say, judge it, and you know, you can talk to your doctor about it, but don't be harsh. And that's what I was, you know, having a hard time. I was really being hard on myself, and just like, oh my God, you know, like it's normal to feel that if you don't know that, you know, it's going to take a while. And that's the thing. It's really a patient waiting game, and I really suck at patience. So that's when I kind of had my first like meltdown, that 2 week mark. And then after that, then I felt better. And I just remember like the things that she said was, you know, don't look in the mirror, which is really hard to do. Like I'm someone that likes to like take pictures and, you know, just look at myself. Like I have mirror closet doors, and, you know, it was really hard for me. But yeah, try to just remember to not judge it. And then this is where like the affirmations and the meditation that I mentioned can really come in handy, because you have to force yourself, you know, to, like, manifesting is a real thing. I use it every day. And so you have to make sure that, like, you know, you tell yourself, I'm gonna like it. And even though it's hard to believe in that moment, like that's when, after watching the videos, I was able to believe, like, okay, like it's not just me. This is not the permanent result. It was something like a tool that helped me remember things are going to change. So at that point, it's in your mind, it's your power to affirm to yourself that you are going to like your results. Like no matter what, you rock with what you got, and you just instill that confidence in yourself. Like that's one of the main things that you have to do. Because now that I'm at 7 weeks, like I still have a hard time to, like, some days I like how it looks. Like today with makeup on, you know, I like how it looks. I'm like, okay, like, you know, I can rock with it. It's getting better. And then other days without makeup, I'm like, wow, like it looks swollen again. This is annoying. So I'm just like, you know, there's certain concerns that I have that I will voice to my doctor, which will be next week actually. But yeah, I'm not going to be like negative to myself. I still think that I look good, you know, and it took me a while to get to that point. So that's why I say, you know, write down affirmations and just meditate and focus on feeling good about yourself, because it comes down to your mentality. And yeah, so that's one thing. The other thing is keep yourself busy so you don't start getting into like a thinking mode, which is another thing. Obviously I was really bored that second week, and with quarantine and everything, like it can get pretty boring. So I would read, I would go outside and like tan. I live close to the beach now, so I did go tanning, but make sure to put sunblock on your face because your skin is really sensitive. I would walk my dog, just things like that. Watch TV. I watched a lot of Botched, which you shouldn't. My friend was like, I can't believe you're watching Botched after you just got your surgery. It's like, you know, it's a little risky. You don't want to start like, I don't know, like just more negative thoughts basically. But it was fine. And then exercising, obviously if you get it done and you have your instructions, it will tell you. And if you do research, like you can't put too much pressure on your nose at first. So when I walked the dog, that was about starting at 2 weeks, but I still only walked a little bit. And then 3 weeks, I walked a little bit more, but I remember that I could feel like the pressure on my nose. So certain days that I would do more, like if I would run errands or even like driving and stuff, the little things that you don't think about actually affect your nose. Like I would remember I would feel it the next day. I'm like, wow, like I'm more tired today, or like my nose would feel more tender. It's like you feel it right here for me, anyways. And so like be cautious of that. You don't want to put too much pressure on it, because there's different reasons they could affect it. But yeah, I would say be on the cautious side. And I remember it also did get swollen a little bit more, like the day after I would walk a lot. So just keep that in mind. The last things that I'll say is, again, the main thing is to help yourself emotionally, and this procedure will test your confidence. And the key is really just to not seek validation from others in this time. Like, if you do have friends that you can talk to that will be a good emotional support, but I truly feel like I had a few, but even, one of my friends who did get a nose job as well, like, she got it a while back, so she couldn't remember how she felt. She did tell me she had ups and downs, but there were some days where I would be like, oh, like, I don't like how it looks today. Like, I don't know, maybe week 4 or week 5. And she was like, oh, you still don't like how it looks? And it's like, that kind of made me feel like, shit, I'm supposed to like how it looks already. Like, I don't know, it just kind of made me start doubting even more. So don't seek validation from others. Just rock what you got, and even if you don't like it, like, it still comes back to confidence. So I would say just focus on yourself and really giving yourself that self-love and positivity. Leave it off with, when I started feeling better, I put on makeup around like actually I was putting on makeup like, even since the second week, but it obviously my face was a lot more drastically swollen by then, or at that time. So by week 5 was the first time that I went out, like actually out for my friend's birthday, and I put on makeup, and I actually liked how I looked, even though I was still really self-conscious. So if I could go back, I would just not act self-conscious, because I had a bad habit of doing that. And it's actually been quite the emotional, like, growing experience, because it taught me a few things. One, to stop seeking validation from others, just because I'm not hearing compliments and things, like, like, it shouldn't matter. It's about what you think about yourself. And it can be hard because you don't like how you're looking, but that's when it goes back to, like, just strengthening your confidence and strengthening your emotional and mental mind state. So that was one of the things that I learned. The other thing is that you're really your own best friend and your own support system. You're your number one fan and cheerleader. So again, it just goes back to what I said, like, really just give yourself that self-love, and know that with time your nose is going to change. You're going to, like, you're beautiful already, but you're going to just get even more beautiful as time goes on, and you're going to love it. And even if you do want a revision, which potentially may happen with me, I don't really know, I'm not judging it. Regardless, I still think I look good now. Like, that's the affirmation that I was telling myself, because I do now truly believe that I look okay. And I'm like, even if I do get a revision, it's just going to be even that much more of an enhancement. And that would only be if, like, it ends up being a little bit up, or, like, something, it doesn't look like the after picture. So I'll show you now what the after picture is supposed to be. And as you can see, it's going to be straight, and that's what I'm going to talk to him about. I'll voice my concerns without, because it's your surgeon, you have to be honest, but you also shouldn't be like, oh my God, I hate it, or go in with all these, like, negative things on your mind. I'm just like, I like it some days, but other days I'm not sure if it's exactly like what we talked about and what I wanted. So I'll see what he says. Let me know if you do want me to post a video on that. I can talk about that. So that pretty much wraps up my video. I'll leave you with this before picture from Halloween of 2018, I think, and my after picture, which I took on Monday, or the picture was taken of me on Monday. And as you can see, it is a lot better than what I had before, as far as, like, I wanted it to be straight and not have a curved nose anymore. And, it's like I said, I'm only at week 7, so not even 2 months yet. And yeah, there's a lot more improvement to come. I'm excited. And I hope you guys can take some of what I told you and, use it in your journey or value and benefit from it. But ultimately, just remember self-love and confidence and not seeking validation from others is key in this journey. So let me know if you guys have any comments or questions. And other than that, peace, love, and soul vibes.